There is a moment just before you fully wake up, a suspended state of consciousness where the world has not yet rushed in. In that fraction of a second, you are free. You are not your name, you are not your job title, you are not your debts, and you are not your past mistakes. You are simply pure, unconditioned awareness. But then, the biological machinery kicks in. The brain's default mode network fires up, and like an old computer loading a corrupted operating system, it downloads all your history, your anxieties, and your to-do lists. Within seconds, you are trapped back in the loop. The ancient masters called this Samsara, the cycle of aimless wandering. Modern neuroscience calls it the path of least resistance. But what if you could hack this process? What if, in that delicate space between sleep and waking, you could insert a new code that doesn't just manage your day, but fundamentally alters the lens through which you perceive reality? For over 2,500 years, the sages of the East have understood that the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. They developed specific protocols, not merely to think positive thoughts, but to restructure the very architecture of the psyche. This is not about superficial affirmations that you repeat while brushing your teeth. This is about the Sankalpa, or the deep, solemn vow that directs the flow of your life energy. We are going to explore a powerful protocol consisting of 5 specific lines. These are not magic spells, they are cognitive anchors. When spoken with the correct understanding of right view, they act as a firewall against the chaos of the modern world. They bridge the gap between the ancient wisdom of the Pali Canon and the cutting-edge understanding of neuroplasticity. To understand why this is necessary, we must look at the human condition. We are biologically wired for survival, not for happiness. Our ancestors survived because they were anxious, hyper-vigilant, and constantly scanning for threats. This is the evolutionary software running in the background of your mind. It is why you naturally drift toward negativity, worry, and stress. This is what the Buddha identified as dukkha, the inherent unsatisfactoriness of unexamined life. To counter this evolutionary bias, we need a deliberate, forceful intervention. We need a daily ritual that manually overrides the survival instinct and activates the higher executive functions of the brain, the seat of wisdom, compassion, and clarity. Let us begin with the first vow, the anchor of your existence. The line is, I bow to the miracle of this arising moment. While the common tongue might call this gratitude, in the Zen tradition, it is something far more profound. It is the recognition of the statistical impossibility of your existence. Consider the fact that you went to sleep last night, a state akin to a temporary death, where your consciousness dissolved into the void. To wake up is to be reborn. The air filling your lungs is a loan from the universe, a transaction you did not earn but were freely given. When you speak this line, you are not just saying thank you for a good cup of coffee, you are acknowledging the interconnected web of life that sustains you. In the neuroscience of gratitude, we know that this specific focus shifted the brain from beta waves, which are associated with active stress and problem solving, into alpha waves, a state of relaxed alertness. By acknowledging the arising moment, you stop living in the phantom future or the dead past. You pull your scattered energy back into the now. The mind often wants to rush ahead to the first problem of the day. It wants to calculate the traffic, the emails, the conflicts. This first line is a shield. It stops that rush. It declares that before I am a worker, before I am a problem solver, I am a witness to the miracle of life. It grounds you in the biological reality of your breath and the beating of your heart. It turns the simple act of opening your eyes into a sacred ceremony. The second vow moves us from gratitude into the nature of reality itself. I flow like water with the changing tides. This is the acceptance of anicca, or impermanence. The root of almost all human psychological suffering is the refusal to accept that things change. We build mental fortresses and try to freeze time. We want our relationships to stay exactly as they are, our bodies to never age, and our bank accounts to only go up. But the laws of thermodynamics and the laws of Dharma agree. Everything is in a state of entropy and flux. When we resist this flow, we create friction, and that friction burns us as stress and anxiety. By stating I flow like water, you are programming your mind to be anti-fragile. Think of a rigid oak tree in a storm versus a bamboo stalk or a flowing river. The rigid tree snaps because it fights the wind. The bamboo bends and survives. The water flows around the obstacle and continues its journey. This affirmation is a command to your ego: drop its heavy armor. It is a reminder that you do not need to control the uncontrollable. When a disruption hits your day, a rude comment, a delayed train, a lost file, the untrained mind contracts and fights. The mind trained with this vow remembers the nature of water. It adapts. It changes shape without losing its essence. You are telling your brain that change is not a threat to be feared, but a mechanism of life to be navigated. This reduces cortisol spikes and keeps your prefrontal cortex online, allowing you to make strategic decisions rather than emotional reactions. The third vow addresses our relationship with the world outside our skin. I dissolve the walls of separation through compassion. In the West, we often view compassion as pity or weakness. In the East, compassion, or karuna, is the recognition of interbeing. It is understanding that the anger in another person is a reflection of the suffering within them, similar to the suffering within you. The illusion of the separate self, the idea that I am in here and you are out there, is the primary cognitive distortion that leads to conflict. When you repeat this line, you are activating the mirror neurons in your brain. These are the specialized cells that allow us to feel what others feel. By consciously choosing compassion, you are essentially hacking your social circuitry. You are deciding, before you even see another human being today, that you will not be a source of judgment. This is self-protective. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It rots your own vessel. By dissolving the walls, you protect your own inner peace. You realize that the rude driver or the critical boss is fighting a hard battle you know nothing about. This creates a buffer zone of patience. Instead of reacting with immediate anger, which is the reptilian brain's response, you respond with curious observation. You become the alchemist, transforming the lead of social friction into the gold of understanding. The fourth vow is the commitment to intellectual and spiritual clarity. I see clearly with the eye of wisdom. Wisdom, or panna, is not intelligence. It is not having a hayek or knowing a lot of facts. Wisdom is the ability to discern the true from the false, the useful from the harmful. In our modern age, We are drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. We are constantly bombarded by algorithms designed to trigger our outrage, our fear, and our desires. To see clearly is to wipe the dust from the mirror of your mind. This line is a reminder to question your own narratives. The human brain is a storytelling machine, but most of the stories it tells are horror stories or tragedies that haven't happened yet. We assume people dislike us. We assume the worst-case scenario. To walk the path of wisdom is to catch these thoughts and ask, is this true? It is the practice of cognitive reframing. When you say this line in the morning, you are setting an intention to not be deceived by appearances, not by the curated lives on social media, not by the fear mongering on the news, and not by the insecurities whispered by your own inner critic. You are equipping yourself with a mental sword to cut through the noise and find the signal. It is a vow to seek truth over comfort and reality over delusion. The fifth and final vow is the destination and the journey combined. I rest in the eye of the storm. This is the cultivation of upekkha, or equanimity. Many people mistake peace for the absence of noise or trouble. They think, I will be at peace when I retire, or I will be at peace when the kids leave home. This is a trap. True peace, the peace the masters speak of, is not dependent on external conditions. It is the stability of a mountain amidst the changing weather. The storm rages, the thunder cracks, but the mountain does not move. When you declare that you rest in the eye of the storm, you are acknowledging that the day will bring chaos. There will be noise. There will be demands. But there is a silent center within you that cannot be touched. Modern psychology calls this emotional regulation. It is the capacity to feel an emotion without becoming the emotion. You are the sky, your emotions are just the clouds passing through. They are real, but they are not you. This vow is your anchor. When the pressure mounts at 200 p.m., you can return to this morning moment. You can recall the feeling of the eye of the storm. It provides a sanctuary that you carry with you, a portable temple of silence that no one can enter without your permission. Now, simply knowing these lines is not enough. Information without application is merely entertainment. To transform these words into neural pathways, we must ritualize them. We must create a container for the practice. This brings us to the Hour of Amrita, or the ambrosial hours before the sun fully claims the sky. This is the optimal time for practice because the collective consciousness of the world is still asleep. The psychic static is low. Do not treat this as a chore. Treat it as a coronation. Find a space in your home that is dedicated to silence. It doesn't need to be a room, it can be a corner, a chair, a cushion. But let this space be sacred. When you sit there, your body should signal to your brain that it is time to go inward. Posture is important. Sit with a spine like a stack of golden coins upright, dignified but not rigid. This physical alignment promotes alertness. If you slump, you drift into lethargy. If you are too tense, you drift into agitation. Find the middle path. Before you speak the lines, you must silence the mechanical noise. Close your eyes and engage in the Bodhi breath. Inhale deeply through the nose, filling the lower abdomen, expanding the ribs, and lifting the chest. Hold at the top for a moment of suspension, the void. Then exhale slowly, longer than the inhale, engaging the parasympathetic nervous system. Do this 3 times. You are manually downshifting your nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest. You are preparing the soil before planting the seeds. Now, recite the lines. Do not rush. Do not mumble. Speak them internally or softly aloud, but with the weight of a judge passing a sentence. I bow to the miracle of this arising moment. Pause. Visualize the golden light of awareness flooding your inner chamber. Feel the vibration of the words in your chest. I flow like water with the changing tides. Pause. Imagine a river navigating around a heavy stone with effortless grace. I dissolve the walls of separation through compassion. Pause. Visualize a net of light connecting your heart to the hearts of all beings. I see clearly with the eye of wisdom. Pause. Imagine a fog lifting, revealing a crisp, high-definition landscape. I rest in the eye of the storm. Pause. Feel a heavy anchor dropping into the depths of the ocean, holding you steady while the surface waves crash. But be warned, as you begin this practice, you will encounter the drunken elephant. This is the term ancient texts use for the untrained mind. It is wild, chaotic, and dangerous. It will resist you. You will sit down to practice, and your mind will scream, "This is a waste of time. You have emails to answer. You are tired." This is not the truth speaking. This is the withdrawal symptom of your addiction to stress. Your brain is addicted to the dopamine and cortisol hits of your usual morning panic. When you try to be calm, the brain panics because it is unfamiliar terrain. You may face the obstacle of doubt. You might think, "I've said these lines for 3 days, and I still got angry at my spouse." It's not working. You must understand the law of accumulation. A single drop of water does not hollow out the stone, but the steady drip over time cuts through the hardest rock. Neuroplasticity is a biological process. It takes time to myelinate new pathways. You are hacking a jungle path with a mashta. The first time is hard. The second time is easier. By the 100th time, it is a highway. Do not judge the practice by the results of a single day. Judge it by the trajectory of a year. Another common pitfall is the parrot syndrome: rote repetition without emotional engagement. If you say the lines while thinking about your breakfast, you are wasting your time. The brain changes based on felt intensity. You must generate the emotion of gratitude, the feeling of flow, the sensation of peace. The body does not know the difference between a real event and a vividly imagined one. If you can generate the chemical signature of peace in your morning ritual, your body begins to live as if you are already peaceful. You are signaling genes to upregulate and downregulate based on this new chemical environment. The ripple effect of this practice is what the physicists call the butterfly effect. You might think this is a selfish practice just for you. But a calm mind is a public service. When you are grounded, you become a thermostat for the room, not a thermometer. A thermometer reacts to the temperature. A thermostat sets it. When you walk into a chaotic meeting at work or a tense family dinner, your stability radiates. People can feel it. Your lack of reactivity gives them permission to calm down. You de-escalate conflicts simply by not adding fuel to the fire. You become a leader, not through authority, but through presence. Consider the relationships in your life. How many arguments started because you were tired, stressed, and reactive? By cultivating the eye of the storm in the morning, you are safeguarding your relationships in the evening. You are bringing a reservoir of patience to your loved ones. You are given the best version of you, not the depleted leftovers. This is the ultimate act of love. As you deepen this practice, the lines may evolve. You might find that on days of high anxiety, you need to stay with I flow like water for 10 minutes. On days of sadness, you may need to bathe in I dissolve the walls of separation. The practice is alive. It is a dialogue between you and your higher self. But consistency is the key that unlocks the door. The mind is slippery. It wants to return to the old loop. Every morning is a new battle for the territory of your consciousness. There is a concept in Zen called Shoshin, or beginner's mind. Even if you have practiced for 10 years, you approach this morning as if it is the first time. You do not rely on yesterday's enlightenment. Yesterday's meal will not satisfy today's hunger. You must eat fresh food. You must breathe fresh air. You must vow fresh vows. Life will throw heavy stones at you. There will be loss. There will be sickness. There will be betrayal. These 5 lines will not stop the rain from falling, but they will give you a waterproof coat. They ensure that you do not drown in the circumstances of your life. They give you the capacity to hold the paradox of human existence, that there is suffering and yet there is beauty. That everything ends and yet every moment is infinite. So, tomorrow morning, when the alarm pulls you from the void, catch yourself. Do not reach for the phone. Do not reach for the worry. Reach for the vow. Lie there in the darkness or sit up in your temple of silence and reconstruct your reality. I bow to the miracle. I flow like water. I dissolve the walls. Oh, I see clearly. Oh, I rest in the storm. Speak it until you feel the shift in your blood. Speak it until the drunken elephant sits down and becomes the wise guardian. This is your life. It is happening right now. The loop is waiting to capture you, but the exit door is open. Walk through it. The path of the monk, scientist, is not about leaving the world to live in a cave. It is about bringing the cave of silence into the noise of the world. It is about being in the world, but not of it. It starts with 5 lines. It starts with 1 breath. It starts with you, right here, right now.